Hi, everyone, and welcome to this SAP community call about Integration Suite, SAP Integration Suite overview, and how it's accelerating third-party integration. And my name is Menina Chow. I'm part of the SAP community team, your host and moderator today. Before we get started, I'd like to make you aware of just a few housekeeping notes. We do have time at the end for Q&A, but you're very welcome to post your questions already in Q&A here in this Zoom functionality, but also, of course, interact in the chat where we will be posting a few of the very helpful links to helpful resources. With me, we have Gayatri Narayana from SAP. She's Senior Product Manager for SAP Integration Suite. And I'd like to hand it over to you since you are going to also introduce yourself and, of course, our panelist, Holger Himmelmann. So please take it away, Gayatri. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
No
Hello and welcome to everyone. Thanks, Menina, to this session where we are bringing integration black belts to the SAP community. SAP Integration Black Belt is a program we offer for training and certification to integration enthusiasts who want to excel and specialize in SAP integration technology. And I'm very excited to bring the voice of these experts to share their integration experience, their customer journey, as well as best practices to the SAP community. And this is the first session where we are able to do this. And I'm very pleased to be joined by Holger Himmelmann. He is very well known in the SAP community for his experience with SAP integration as well as integration with enterprise integrations. And he will be sharing with us some of the customer examples and use cases of how SAP Integration Suite is simplifying and accelerating integrating with the third-party applications, which is our non-SAP ecosystem. So let me begin with a quick overview before I hand it over to Holger, and then we will open it up for a panel discussion followed by Q&A. SAP's vision and our strategy and goal is to transform our customers' business to an intelligent enterprise, to be able to benefit from real-time data insights, as well as changes to be able to make smart and quick decisions in real time. This requires you to have well-integrated applications across your different value chains. So this can be your hire to retire, your source to pay, lead to cash, design to operate, all these different value chains where you have your SAP as well as non-SAP applications in the cloud as well as on-premise. And we understand that none of our customers have wall-to-wall SAP. There is definitely a good mix of non-SAP applications as well as in their IT landscape. And SAP's strategy is to provide you with the right technology and tools so that you can deliver the intelligent enterprise, be able to realize this, and also transform your data into business value. And the SAP Integration Suite enables you to do this by providing end-to-end business process excellence across these different value chains so that you can build simple yet powerful connected digital experiences. And this is a strategy paper from our board members, which is an excellent read to understand how integrated the intelligent enterprises should be and how you can actually transform your digital enterprises and move towards an intelligent enterprise. So the SAP Business Technology Platform, which is also what we call as BTP in short, is the platform for your intelligent enterprise, and your integration suite. And let me quickly bring up my highlighting. So is a part of BTP. The intelligent enterprise is based on a very well-integrated ecosystem, and the three core principles of our integration strategy help you to transform to the intelligent enterprise. So the first and the foremost principle is how do we provide out-of-the-box integrations, right? So here we are striving to reduce the total cost of ownership, the cost of maintenance, and also reduce your time to market in bringing these integrations and jump-starting your integration projects. To be able to do this, we provide out-of-the-box integrations. We have more than 2,000 plus productized integrations available in the API Business Hub, catering to the standard business processes, be it integrating with your SAP as well as non-SAP applications. The second principle is about how open can you make this integration and how do you simplify it. Yeah, here we provide APIs through the API Business Hub, which will facilitate you to use the API first approach and use them as building blocks for building your custom integrations. So we have more than 1500 plus APIs available in the API Business Hub to build your custom integrations and use them as a starting point. We also enable third-party integrations by providing a very open ecosystem with our open connector service and connectivity to almost 170 plus non-SAP applications through simple REST-based APIs. The third pillar or the third integration principle is how do we make integration itself intelligent? How do we make this smarter so that it's more efficient for you? So this is where we apply AI and machine learning. And we have capabilities like the Integration Advisor, which is a part of our integration suite, which provides you mapping proposals to simplify your B2B integration. Yet another step in this direction is by providing the smart proposals for your integration flow modeling by suggesting which step you need to include next for building your process integration scenarios. So all of these principles are tied together with our integration suite. In fact, our integration suite is based on these integration principles. So I've been talking about the integration suite, and for those of you who are new, what exactly is this SAP Integration Suite? So this is our enterprise-grade, versatile integration platform as a service built cloud natively, and it enables you to run on a cloud provider of your choice, be it AWS, Azure, Ali Cloud, and also we have more cloud providers or hyperscalers, as we call them, being added in the future. And this enables you to pretty much realize and implement any of your integration styles and patterns, be it your application to application integration, your integration with your trading partners, or your B2B integrations, your integrations which uses an API first approach, event-based, also integrating with government agencies, right, which we call the B2G integration patterns. So there are different capabilities which is included as a part of the integration suite, which provides you different possibilities. A combination of these capabilities can give you a possibility to achieve pretty much any integration scenario and pattern. And going into each of these capabilities, we have cloud integration, which is our main process integration service in the cloud, which enables you to model your message-based integrations with your SAP and non-SAP applications, both on cloud and on-prem. And this is where all the heavy lifting happens. You model your process orchestration flows through what we call as the integration flows. And closely complementing it is your open connector service, which enables you to connect with your third-party applications. And here we provide a wide variety of connectors through REST-based APIs, a very simplified and harmonized way to connect to these third-party applications, some of which is listed here, but there are many more which is available through this capability. And then we also have the API management, which enables you to work with your backend services as APIs, to be able to manage the life cycle and govern the life cycle of these APIs by defining, for example, throttling or policies with respect to security, so on and so forth. So all of these capabilities are very complementary in nature and help you to build your end-to-end process orchestration flow. And last but not the least, we have the Integration Advisor capability focused more on B2B. Here we use AI, we use a crowdsource-based machine learning to simplify your B2B integrations and make proposals of how to simplify integrating with your trading partners. And then we have kind of encompassing all of these capabilities, the API Business Hub, which is your public catalog for all integration content, be it integration flows or templates, events, APIs. All of these accelerators are provided in the API Business Hub for you to leverage these capabilities and run your end-to-end integration scenarios. So with the integration suite, we say that we provide a Netflix of integration. The reason we say that is because pretty much any-to-any integration is possible using the integration suite. And these are some of the standard scenarios you will encounter when you are having any of the value chain integration specified, right? Like lead to cash or hire to retire, where you're integrating with your backend HCM systems with one of these other payroll or benefits vendors, so on and so forth. And here we provide these pre-built integration packages, which covers the integration for all these standard flows. This is provided by SAP, And we also have content from partners. All of this is available in the API Business Hub. Now, how is this helping you? There are two aspects over here, and our study shows that you can accelerate your integration project and get a saving both in terms of cost as well as in terms of the amount of savings you get in with respect to the time to market, right? So there is a 10x savings you get with respect to cost, and almost you're 5 times faster in realizing these integrations because you have a good start with the standard content from the API Business Hub. And going into how exactly this is accelerating integrations with the non-SAP applications or the third-party applications. And here you can see some of the popular non-SAP applications which is used by our customers in these different value chains. For example, with the lead to cash scenarios, we see a lot of our customers are on SAP CX, but then there are some of them who also use, for example, Microsoft Dynamics or Salesforce or HubSpot CRM. And then we have ServiceNow integrations for incident management. We have integrations for Vertex tax solutions as a part of the payment integration, with DocuSign for documentation compliance, as well as some of the supply chain integrations go through solutions like Blue Yonder and spend management for Coupa. And especially in the space of hire to retire, you see that there is a lot of integrations of your core SAP HR applications with a payroll or a benefit vendor, or even, for example, with LinkedIn for hiring, right? So we see all of these kind of integrations happen. And there is the SAP Open Connector service, which provides connectivity to these third-party applications. And there is also content provided in the API Business Hub for some of these scenarios with non-SAP applications. When we talk about accelerators, it's twofold. One is how do we provide a connector, which is a very crucial part of building your integration flow. And the second part is, or the second aspect is the end-to-end integration content itself, right? So covering the first aspect of these adapters, which you would typically use in your integration flow to connect to these third-party applications. Like I said, there are many different possibilities which you get with Integration Suite. For example, you have the standard adapters for those applications where you want to integrate using the open standards or the industry standards like SOAP, REST, OData. You have all these different technical adapters and many more, right? And we recently added, for example, even Kafka adapter over here. So you have these different options which you can use. If you want to build a custom adapter and maintain it, there is also the possibility to do that with the adapter development kit. And we also have specific application adapters, which is included as a part of the cloud integration capability, which enables you to connect with some of the SAP as well as non-SAP applications. And of course, you have the open connectors capability, which opens up this wide variety of third-party application, third-party ecosystem in terms of the connectivity. And then we also have adapters from partners. So there are diverse ways of building your integrations, and you have different options to do this. The second aspect, like I said, is about the end-to-end content itself, right? So here you have integration packs provided for integrating with some of these non-SAP applications, both provided by SAP, that's what you see here in the middle, as well as by partners. And one of the main use cases here is for integrating with government agencies, right? And for 30 plus countries, we provide this content, and this is one of the prominent use case of the non-SAP integration content, which we provide as an accelerator in the API Business Hub. Then talking a bit about the scale, right? We have more than 13,000 plus customers globally, and the scale is very important. How many messages go through our system, how performant is the integration suite. This is a true testament to that. And we have seen that there are billions of messages and billions of API calls, which actually goes through our platform, through the SAP Integration Suite, through the different tenants of our customers on a monthly basis. And sometimes it scales to many millions or hundreds of millions of messages, even in a single day. Right? So this is the scale at which we are operating, and we definitely have a possibility to scale based on your integration needs. And talking about where we are in terms of in the market as a leader. So last year in 2020, we actually moved up in the Gartner Magic Quadrant from visionary to a leader. And this is again a testament of the adoption of our customers, their trust in us, their honest feedback, as well as their success with our platform. And also we've been recently rated as the Customer Choice Enterprise iPaaS in Gartner's Pure Insights Voice of Customer. So this is again the trust which our customers place in our strategy, in the way we are executing towards it, as well as overall the adoption which our global customers have with our platform. Talking a bit about some of the other accelerators provided, which facilitate and accelerate the non-SAP integration. We have the API Business Hub. I think a lot of you might be familiar with this. This is this api.sap.com. This we have recently revamped towards end of last year by releasing a beta version where there is more focus on how we structure this content, the categorization, also with a lot of emphasis of content for non-SAP applications, especially content from partners, from the community. And we will be releasing a GA version of this API Business Hub with the new look and feel around in a couple of months in this year. One other aspect or topic which we also delivered in the last couple of months focused on non-SAP integration is the API Business Hub Enterprise. So now you can also work with APIs not just exposed by SAP API Management, but SAP API Hub Enterprise also allows you to work with APIs which are exposed through non-SAP API gateways, because we realize a lot of our customers may be using some of these non-SAP API gateways and working with these systems in the past, and then we want them to have a seamless experience, and that's why the API Business Hub Enterprise now also allows you to work with APIs exposed from the non-SAP API gateways like the ones listed below, and it gives a very easy experience for the app developer to work with some of these APIs which is exposed through this API Business Hub Enterprise. So this brings to the last slide of my section of the presentation before I hand it over to Holger, who and I'm really looking forward to his the insights he'll be sharing about the customer examples. But before going into that, I wanted to quickly summarize and say this slide lists some of the top reasons why you would need to move to SAP Integration Suite, or what are the advantages you will have by moving to the SAP Integration Suite. I will not go into all of them in the interest of time, but what I would like to say is that the choice depends on how you want to scale your business. So if you have a growing business and you need to scale, then you definitely need an integration strategy and integration suite, which will kind of grow with your business. And this is one of the main reasons I would see Integration Suite being a good fit as a part of your integration strategy. And of course, these are the various other benefits you get with it. So with that, I will hand it over to Holger so that he can walk us through the customer use cases, the projects he's worked on, and share some of his experience using the Integration Suite for integrating with the non-SAP applications. So thank you very much. And Holger, I will hand it over to you now.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to the session, and yeah, hello to all. We joined just before the start of the weekend. So let's get started with the presentation. I requested just wanted to change the slide, but it's not reacting right now. Or can you just click on it?
Holger, I think you can share now.
I should share. No problem. Let's do this then. I thought I take over control of the presentation, but we can do this. Yeah. All right. So just a second. So now you should be able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so now Yeah, I want to show you some project examples that we implemented with the SAP Integration Suite. So, and from different angles and yeah, now called capabilities. So to give you insight what's possible with the Integration Suite to integrate third-party applications. And the first project example is the integration of S/4HANA Cloud system, where we had to integrate several systems, several legacy systems, so to say. For example, one was a Team Center, where all the material master data, and also for the materials we have drawings, and there this information has to be transferred to S/4HANA Cloud to create and update the actual material master, and for that it was old school CSV files with FTP, but it's still there. Even if you go to the cloud, there are still some CSV files or flat files lying around which you need to integrate, and that we did with CPI and calling the S4 HANA Cloud system. And what we also did in this scenario was that we had another non-SAP ERP system called ABAS, and this was capable to directly do OData calls. And there we used this approach to call via CPI the customer order creation, and also to create inbound delivery. But the special scenario here, for example, was this other system is not able to retrieve or it doesn't have a HTTP server, so we couldn't just send out created purchase orders from this, and so we sent them to CPI, which collects the purchase order, and the other system can then use the REST service and just grab from time to time the latest orders that were collected by CPI. And the reason why we collect it here, because you could also say, let's pull it and here directly from S/4HANA Cloud, was really here to make use of the trigger logic from S4, so that only new and changed sales orders are sent out. Otherwise, we would always have to select for a specific date or give me the purchase orders from the last day or last hour. And with this collection, it's pretty nice, so that you always get the orders one time and then CPI deletes it from there. Yeah. And the other one, also FTP and files, but this time it was, instead of these comma-separated files, quite complex flat file structures. And here it was useful to have Groovy at hand, so you could so that we were able to deal with this more complex structure, which wouldn't be possible with a pure transformation. So the first one was at Phoenix Contact, now a project that is already live for several months at Wacker Chemie, and there we integrated with Salesforce. And here we didn't use the Salesforce adapters or the prepackaged content, because at that implementation we decided, let's go for custom Apex services, so that Salesforce offers specific web services, because we had extended data structures, they had extended validation logic in Salesforce, so there was custom logic anyway. And so we decided, okay, let's go for custom web services, and the session handling we resolved with their own session handler, which is just a timer controlled integration flow that grabs the session ID, and then we can utilize it in the other flows when we send data from into Salesforce. And there we integrated with SAP ERP and also with Hybris, where we had received a catalog export and that we sent to Salesforce, and also with SAP CRM. So it was also a mix, and there it was really nice to orchestrate the integration logic. Yeah, so compared to PIPO, it was really much easier to insert more logic into the technical integration layer. Otherwise, with PO, you would have ended up with doing this BPM, and we come to this later. That's really much easier to do with CPI. Yeah. But so the first two ones were purely CPI cloud integration examples. Yeah. Now another project with which we went live is old school EDI, still alive and relevant. Yeah. And here is a project in US where we integrate with EDI customers, which are connected via two large EDI providers, but we do also have some EDI customers that offer a direct IS2 connection. And here we use the integration advisor capability of the integration suite to create the mappings and uploaded the created artifacts in cloud integration, which then maps the X12 messages to a sales order or in the direction back from the ERP system to the EDI customers with sales order confirmation, advanced shipping notification, and the invoice. And here it was really, it worked pretty well that we really set up the guidelines in Integration Advisor, so it was also easier to understand for the project members what was going on in terms of mapping logic, because there was a challenge that the people in the project, they came from a legacy EDI platform and didn't know CPI or any other SAP integration platform so far. And with the visualization and Integration Advisor, it was really easier to understand and also to adjust the EDI or the mapping logic for the additional customers. Last part, last example is now the API-based integration. And this is a project we are currently doing at a international wholesale company and distributor in Asia. And here they really have very nice API use cases where you can really gain benefits here, because one example is here that they are distributing and also selling goods via multiple channels and multiple partners and in multiple countries. And for them, it's a huge benefit that they can really try to standardize the APIs so that not each customer needs to be integrated with a new interface and a new format, and so that they define for the order tracking own API, where you can see, okay, what about my sales orders? What's the delivery status for these orders? And then the customer API, which is more detailed, because there you can create a sales order, you can get the sales order history, the sales order details. So here it's mainly the delivery, but here you can really get all the details from the sales order or the material master or availability. Or the material availability, and that can also be utilized by multiple consumers directly in their own web shop, in a third-party web shop, and or called by external partners. And that's really always a good use case for APIs if you can see, okay, you can reuse it multiple times. Yeah? And here it's API management, but the translation to the web service in ERP is done by CPI, and we already tried to use or aligned the structure with to the API in S/4HANA, yeah, which is also readable for and usable for non-SAP experts. Yeah, and then that's was a nice approach that we hear. Then later, if they move and migrate from ERP to S/4HANA, this part will change because we don't need the custom web services anymore or calling BAPIs or RFCs in the background. We will just simplify the mapping here in CPI and call the new OData services on S4 instead of the web services right now. Yeah. And I do see some questions here. Or I think we will do it later, right? Or okay, because then I can jump back. I can still share because when we go for specific scenarios, of course, better to see it. As a short summary for the different components, so how can it help you to integrate third-party applications? For cloud integration, we have really seen, many APIs to have microservices, or smaller services, so that you may have a larger message and you need to orchestrate multiple API calls, and that's really easy to handle within cloud integration. And it also gives you additional possibilities to have a more sophisticated error handling logic as well, because what happens, you have 3 API calls to create a sales order, for example, in the target system. But how do you handle it if in the middle of the logic it fails? Yes, but the header has been created, but you are failing creating the items, so that we can put more logic also into the error handling. And we also, first, of course, we usually look for, you can do it in the graphical mapping in CPI. But if you really have to handle a very complex transformation, or you do have a flat file or CSV format, and you can also do this directly with Groovy, and Groovy is pretty powerful and gives you a lot of possibilities to do conversion logic. And of course, combined with this possibilities for orchestration and for the global variables and the storage possibilities, there you can connect to most of the applications with the existing technical adapters. But of course, if there are application adapters out there, then it also was to have a look at it. Integration Advisor, it was really used for create mapping artifacts, and there is a prepackaged content for CPI, so in which you can upload these artifacts. So we did use this prepackaged content, but we also adjusted it a little bit to cover the error handling logic. But we also did EDI projects where we completely created the mappings without Integration Advisor, but that's really some strategic decision you have to make at the beginning. But if you have to really recreate the mappings, or you want to recreate them completely, Integration Advisor is definitely an option for this. And for API management, it helps you to provision APIs and roll it out. And you can combine it with CPI, even with open connectors, to call the corresponding backend functionality. And here it's also, even if you don't need, we have also projects where we just use API management for security policies. So we do EDI, which API management doesn't support, but we use API management just to enforce some security policies, but not caring about that it's actually an EDIFACT format. And finally, open connectors. So there we used open connectors. That's not on the example list, but in one example where we used open connectors was that we had the requirement to integrate with the Microsoft Dynamics ERP system, not the CRM one. And here we used open connectors to integrate it. So technically, it would also be possible to do it with the HTTP adapter and build that on our own, yeah, or look out for CPI. But since we had open connectors available, we utilized this, and the connectivity part was really easy to cover. Yeah? And there it's really worth to have a look at what's in there in the terms of connectivity, and does it give you solve you issues, yeah, or if the native API and a call with a specific session handling is too complex, maybe. Yeah. All right, I think then that's it from my side. So
thanks, Holger.
I hope the scenarios gave you a good impression what you can do with the integration suite and how we solved it. Yeah? And now, yeah, I would hand over.
Thank you so much, Holger. Thank you for sharing these examples and also the best practices you've applied, right, for these different integration projects. So Holger, I had a few follow-up questions to you, and maybe we can discuss this as a part of the panel discussion, right? So you mentioned about one of the examples where the customer will in future might move from ERP to S4. And we are seeing this a lot with our customers with the digital transformation journey moving to the cloud. So do you see like a major shift in the integration strategy of these customers, and how heterogeneous is their IT landscape? Do they have a lot of non-SAP applications as well, or is it predominantly SAP footprint? Can you share some insights into this?
Yeah, the good thing compared to 5 or 10 years ago, it is people are, so the companies are aware of that integration is crucial and important. So that they, if they really talk about let's implement or migrate to S4HANA, or to let's go for or C4HANA or Salesforce implementation, that they are aware that they need to decide and discuss, okay, how the integration architecture should look like, because technically you often have a lot of possibilities, and there the main challenge is to have the best approach that fits to your scenario. Usually there is not one single approach that works for all. There are different options. And out in the field, we have seen multiple combinations, so that we have customers that really just had Unix shell script and then now move to CPI and on the integration suite. Then we have, of course, a lot of companies that do have PIPO, and now they started with the first integration suite scenarios, for example, for e-invoicing or for SuccessFactors integration, and now you have more cloud requirements coming along that you say, okay, now you need some kind of guideline when to use CPI and when to use PIPO. But we do also have use cases where we have there's already API management for Azure or MuleSoft in place, and how do you bring this together with the integration suite, and when to use which kind of a solution, and that's always important to discuss at an early stage before people start implementing stuff, and then nobody has the money or time to clean it up later.
Gayatri, you're on mute.
Yeah.
So am I audible now?
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks, Holger. So in terms of the examples you shared, and maybe even some of the other customer projects you're working on, what is the biggest integration challenge you see? And what, maybe if you can summarize the top 3 lessons you've learned, right? Like how to solve this.
I think one thing is, from organizational perspective, especially if you start with API strategy, you really have to consider and plan the organizational impact, so that there's an API stakeholder owner, that you promote the use of APIs internally, but also for customers or other partners, logistics partners. And that's really not like, okay, we now license Integration Suite and put some APIs in it and hope that everybody will use it. That's really important, that you that somebody takes responsibility and that you identify what's relevant for you. And this usually is such kind of API ownership. It's not there in a company organization, yeah, because it shouldn't be the PI guy doing the API governance, yeah, because you need to decide on business level, on process level, what is relevant, what not, and not on from the pure technical perspective. So this is one lesson learned. The other one is, yeah, as I mentioned in the previous question, you need to have a clear strategy, what platforms you want to use, and what protocols and security policies you allow, because otherwise it could be that each project comes along with a new middleware, and each project tells you a different story. Yeah? So you start integrating with C4HANA, then somebody tells you, okay, let's use CPI, and then there comes maybe a Salesforce project, and then people tell you, oh, it's only possible with MuleSoft, yeah, and both is possible, yeah, but it's there really important that you have a clear strategy on this, and don't have to rediscuss and justify yourself which each new project coming along. And here the Integration Solution Advisory methodology, ISAM, really gives you a good starting point, but you also then should define, based on this good starting point, integration guidelines, when to use what, and with some kind of decision matrix. Yeah? And I think another third point that is also that you get involved as soon as possible in the end-to-end design, because technically you can integrate almost everything, but the challenge is usually the end-to-end process and how this all works together, and how the different data models between Salesforce and S4, or also with Microsoft Dynamics and SAP ERP work together. And here you really have to talk with the business, how would the end-to-end process look like, and is your process, how you define it, really capable of this? Because usually the technical connectivity, if there's a good chance that you find an adapter, and when it's clear what you have to do, yeah, it can be done, but not 2 weeks before user acceptance test, of course. Yeah.
And the integration suite, I mean, there are several examples you shared of how it is simplifying, but when you compare with some of these other vendors which you mentioned, what would be like one top reason why you would recommend in terms of simplification and acceleration, why they should use the integration suite?
Yeah, I think one main benefit is, of course, is the prepackaged content that you have and that you can use. But of course, it's not, prepackaged content is not always there for everything, and it's not always 100% fitting. But in many cases, it can give you a good head start. Or if you really have such scenarios like SuccessFactors integration with S4 or e-invoicing, there are really packages that you can just configure, and that's it. Yeah. But on the other hand, as I said, the end-to-end processes could vary. Yeah. So it's you shouldn't expect that there's prepackaged content out there for everything that fits perfectly for you. But there it's always also useful that SAP has introduced the extension concept for the prepackaged content. So if the logic itself works fine for you, but you have additional fields, you can use this extension concept to map and to include your additional fields and structures into the prepackaged content. Yeah. But in other cases, we also took prepackaged content just yeah, as a copy template, simplifying it because we needed only 1/3 of the logic and the structures. Yeah. And that's one topic, of course. Then Integration Suite has a quite fast learning curve. So especially we have seen it if you come from also PI, PO, and we also had junior consultants starting from scratch. You really see that yeah, people are catching up faster with the Integration Suite compared to PIPO, but also to other applications which are then very technical. And there, if you compare Integration Suite with other solutions, there are some solutions out there which are very powerful, but then it's very hard to understand or to learn it if you really want to get all features in use. Yeah, and there are other tools which are yeah, graphical oriented, and you can make citizen integration. What's a funny buzzword? Yeah, but they end up doing okay. If it becomes more complex, then you are stuck, or you suddenly end up doing coding. Yeah, and what I like is with the Integration Suite that it's a good compromise between these two extremes. Yeah, so you can do a lot of stuff because often integration is simply complex, and on the other hand, if you have an easy scenario, it's the learning curve is quite fast. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thanks a lot, Holger, for all these insights. And of course, Integration Suite provides a very low code based platform for developing your integrations. So before I hand it back to Menina, I want to quickly share my presentation back and share some of the resources which we put together. I know there were some questions from the audience on how you can get certified as an integration black belt, where you can find more information about the Integration Suite. So we have all of this covered in this presentation, which will be shared to you after the session. So I'm going to just bring the slide back up, and so that you have it. And you can also ask these questions on the SAP community by following the SAP Integration Suite page, as well as we have our user profiles added here. In case you want to follow us, you can ask your questions, something which you were not able to discuss in today's session, and we will be happy to share responses to you and answer any questions you have. So with that, I will hand it back to you, Menina, and then we can open it up for Q&A and answer those questions which came on chat.
Thanks for both of you of presenting and sharing your insights, providing the time also. We are running out of time. That is why I will quickly run a poll for you to be able, all attendees, to have a look. Meanwhile, Holger and Gayatri, if you still have time to stay in the line, if you can bring up some of the questions that have been raised that are interesting and pressing, that were in regards to your presentations, then feel free to respond to those. Of course, the recording will be made available, and for those of you who can't stay any longer, I appreciate that you stayed already over time. But yeah, so with that, we have a poll running about some interesting questions. If you're leveraging SAP Integration Suite to simplify your enterprise integrations, how your IT landscape is, how heterogeneous, things like this. So it would be, of course, very interesting for us to get some insights about your current status. With that, Gayatri, Holger, I know we do have luckily some experts that from SAP that have joined us, that have heavily already supported in answering questions. So thank you also for all of you panelists that have joined here in the background. So yeah, let's continue with the remaining questions. But I would also say we can definitely follow up in blog posts that we can cover all of the remaining open questions, providing the answers to you.
Sure, Menina. So there are a few open questions, and thanks to my colleagues who joined today's session to be able to support in answering a lot of these questions, which I see as answered. So I will go through some of the open questions, which we can answer live. I think there are some questions also to Holger, and then based on time, we can see how much we cover, and the ones we are not able to cover in today's session, we will respond to that so that you will have these answers later on with the assets, which is available on the SAP community. So the first question is the difference between the API Business Hub and the API Business Hub Enterprise. So a great question, thanks Vinod. So the API Business Hub is our public catalog where there is a lot of this prepackaged content and templates, which provides you a jump start to your integration. So this has integration packages, your APIs. Now we also have new contents like events and CDS views and workflows and all other digital native content. Now this is completely available for free for discovery, but to consume these integration assets, you will need to have the integration suite offering. And now the difference between that and the API Business Hub Enterprise, the API Business Hub Enterprise, on the other hand, is very specific to your organization, right? This is what we earlier in SAP API Management, if you're familiar, we used to have something called the Dev Portal. So this is the revamped version of that, which allows you to work with the APIs which you're exposing in your organization, both through SAP API Management as well as through non-SAP API gateways, if you have that in your IT landscape. So the API Business Hub is the public portal, and the API Business Hub Enterprise is something very specific to your organization, and where your application developers will be working with the APIs exposed from the applications and systems in your IT landscape. So I hope that answers, Vinod. If there's any follow-up questions, please feel free to add, and we will respond to that. So there is also a question to Holger. I see you're typing the answer. So in
but
case
I can also answer it online. Yeah.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, I think one question was about how we built this order tracking API. So we did use the standard API from the API Business Hub for sales order, and simplified it for order tracking, saying, okay, we just took the fields which are relevant for order tracking, because there is no specific order tracking API, but the sales order API was suitable for us. We only had to reduce and discuss with the business, okay, what is relevant for the order tracking. Yeah, and then we really did, since we had the ECC system, the backend, we did a mapping from the reduced API structure to the web service in ECC on CPI.
Thanks, Holger. And Holger, I see there are two more questions from the examples you shared. So I would like to give you the preference to answer here, because you're our guest speaker, and then I will respond to some of the other open questions on chat. So do you want to take the next one from Angie? I'm
just reading it. The benefits for Integration Advisor was that really so the Integration Advisor works differently, of course, than the graphical mapping tool that you know from CPI or from PIPO. And the good thing is there that you don't have to fight with context changes, like, if you're developing in PI or CPI, and that it's really easier to map and to select for qualifiers, and also that you can that it's integrated, because you have then the message implementation guidelines, where you already define, okay, these EDI or B2B structures are really relevant for this partner, and if you then take over this guideline and then define the mapping in Integration Advisor, in the mapping editor of Integration Advisor, and then you can really focus on the things which are relevant, and it takes qualifiers already from the guidelines, which because qualifiers in EDI is always a very important topic, and this is really easier to handle than compared to the normal or standard mapping editors in CPI and PIPO. And that was one reason why we said, okay, let's go for the integration advisor, because we already have the documentation created. It's easier to understand for non-technical people, and you don't have to fight with context changes and that stuff. And you can utilize the your proposals from integration advisor, so that if you have several mappings already there, or you it has some artificial intelligence to propose you, okay, let's map this to that field. And that was also a good start. Of course, you cannot just trust it blind, but you don't have to look at each field, because there are always good starting points that you can reuse here.
Maybe we can address one more question before we get to an end. I just want to respect the time.
Which one do you think? I'm just scrolling through.
So there is one question: if I have to integrate creation of sales order from an SAP system at a customer with a third-party solution that is expecting a hook or details of the sales order, how can we do it? Can you share any link how such a common problem can
I see. This was the last one. Sorry. Okay. Okay. I think there we, as in our example here for the trace order and the sales order creations, there we really use the API from the SAP Business Hub. So we took the API definition from S4 and published and took it as a basis to provide it as a third-party integration, and we can include the link to the API that we took as a starting point, and I can provide you this in the answer. But the good thing with the new OData APIs is we are not talking about SAP internal field names anymore. They are really in a descriptive way. So it's not VBON or a sales org in the abbreviation. So it's really in a written and descriptive names. But if you one important thing is also is still that even if you take these kind of structures, you still have to add some more detailed information to the API definition, which is relevant for your company. Because if you say, okay, there's a field like order type, but you still have to explain if you some partners or external partners should call this API, okay, what kind of order types are allowed and what they are meaning, and that of course you don't get from the standard SAP API definitions, because that works for all customers, but this if you then take the structure, you still have to do in API management a more detailed description how you have to fill it and use it for your specific company, because sales organizations are all named differently or organized differently, for example.
Thank you so much, Holger, for the detailed explanation, and for all of you again for posting the questions, addressing the answers here. Regarding the time, unfortunately, we have to come to an end. I can see also a lot of appreciation coming from the attendees, thanking you for the informative session, and also all the help of the answers provided by all of you. And with that, I will now say thank you, Gayatri, Holger.
It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much, Menina, for hosting us, and to all the participants for a very interactive discussion and all your questions. Thank you.